Good morning. Early Monday morning, heading to Tel Aviv for one of the craziest, most insane days I've had in a very, very long time. It is pouring rain outside, hence me doing this in the car. I don't even know where to start today. Going to the Intercontinental to have some back-to-back meetings, doing a demo talk for Jolt, a new startup that was speaking on their platform on Thursday about raising funding for your startup. So today is the demo talk, and a couple of meetings there in the hotel afterwards, including with the hotel itself. My friend Naama from the marketing of the hotel wants to talk to me about some new campaign they're doing. Very excited to meet her. After that, I'm heading to Mitos to meet Audio Burst, a hot company in the audio space, followed by a couple of meetings at Sarona with some pretty big investors, including Aryeh Mergi, who one might say invented the thumb drive with Dov Moran. He was his partner at M Systems. And after that, I'm meeting Yanai from Vertex Ventures. Literally back-to-back meetings all day from morning to night, and it's pouring. But it's going to be a good day. Here we go. Made it to Tel Aviv bright and early in the David Intercontinental, one of my favorite hotels. The Jolt demo talk starts in like 30 minutes. Check out the view from here though. So here we are in the Intercontinental Tel Aviv. By the way, this hotel has deep meaning and like is one of the most meaningful places for me in my life. I told you why before, but you probably forgot. This is where I met the Waz, here in the lobby, right here. But no, I actually love this hotel a lot. I mean, this guy, I think we connected on Twitter, like when you like announced that you're in Israel and people like meet Hillel. Is that how that happened?
Absolutely.
All right, who are you? Talk to me.
Anthony Pompliano, managing partner, Full Tilt Capital.
Okay, listen, man, I talk fast. That was way too fast. Slow down. Let's start that again. Who are you?
Anthony Pompliano, managing partner, Full Tilt Capital.
Okay, fulltiltcapital.com, correct?
Fulltilt.capital.
Fulltilt.capital. Okay, so talk to me. Give me your background first of all, because your background is actually insane. Like, no, it really, actually, I didn't even realize half the things that you just told me. Like, I knew you worked at Facebook, I knew you did growth at Facebook, but give me your background. Walk me through the last 10 years of your life.
Yeah, Army 6.5 years.
What did you do in the Army, by the way? Sorry, by the way, let me just apologize for interrupting you. This is my ADD.
You're
cool
fine.
with it. I'm good. Okay, cool.
Everyone's got ADD.
All right, cool. Yes.
Was in the infantry, was sergeant in the Army, then did 2 tech startups, then ran product and growth teams at Facebook and Snap, and then started a venture fund about a year and a half ago.
So like, what you just summed up in like 10 seconds is like, I don't think there are many people who can like sum up a career, and you're young, you're just getting started, but like, you did growth at Facebook. What was your official title there?
Product manager.
Product manager. Okay, you led growth at Snap, like Snapchat. 6.5 years in the Army, and now you're writing checks, you're investing. Can I ask how old you are?
29.
Dude, like, that's completely nuts, man.
I meet kids on a daily basis that are 15, 16 years old and on their second company, and they sold the first one for a few $1 million, and I feel...
15, really?
I feel like I'm slow.
That's how I feel right now, so anyway. All right, so tell me about Full Tilt Capital. What's the strategy here?
Yes, we write $50,000, $100,000 checks super early, industry agnostic, location agnostic, and did about 64 checks to date. And
so let me just give you context if you're watching this. 64 checks in a year and a half?
A little bit under a year and a half.
Like most of the VCs, most of the investment bodies, or whatever you want to call them, that I know, right? 2, 3, 5, 10 checks a year. Is that accurate? Most?
Yeah.
60. That's like hyper active.
64, over 40% have raised money, at least 2x valuation since we invested.
Wow, so you're choosing them right. So what's the strategy? How do you choose them?
It's all people focused. So don't really, not too worried about the company itself in terms of what they're doing. Really just looking at the individual founders, trying to bet on people who we think have certain list of qualities that we believe give a founder a higher probability of success. And then we like to see some kind of early traction or data or something that shows us that there's a market there.
Okay, so originally when you told me kind of growth, I asked you, like, you went from growth at Snap and Facebook to writing checks, and I was like, that's not such a natural transition, but then it hit me. That's exactly what every investor needs to bring to his or her portfolio, which is real data, metrics, growth, like real, not fluff, not BS. Like the ability for you to take your company that you wrote a $50,000 or $100,000 check and actually help them grow is obviously, much more valuable than writing a $50,000 or $100,000 check. So how hands-on are you with your companies once you write that check?
Yeah, so usually the first 90 days or so, we're pretty hands-on in terms of just taking a data-driven, iterative approach to try to create an inflection point that changes the value of the company. So we've got companies that we go in, they've got 10,000 users, 4 or 5 months later, they're sitting at 100,000 users. We've got companies that tens of millions of dollars of revenue in the first couple of years. We obviously have the company that did $4.7 million on a 28-day Kickstarter campaign.
And that was a blanket.
Yeah, it was a gravity blanket.
gravity blanket. Man, it's an interesting world we live in. Anyway, man, you having a good time? That's the most important thing.
Yeah, look, I'm having a blast. I get to meet people every single day that are working on just incredible things that I would never know about. Right?
I feel the same way. I pinch myself every morning.
Are you having fun?
We get to meet people like you. You kidding me, man? It's amazing. No, the truth is, like meeting these like entrepreneurs who like have massive visions and don't just leave it as a vision, go execute and go build these things is to me the most exciting. People ask me all the time, like, what gets you up in the morning? And I met with a big investor recently, and he said to me, like, what drives you? And I'm like, helping entrepreneurs. And he started laughing, like literally laughing. He's like, come on, you mean the upside? I was like, no, the upside is a nice perk. Like meeting these entrepreneurs with fire in their eyes. Like I've met with some interesting investors who invested in, without mentioning names, the biggest companies out there, like the market shaping companies, and everybody else said no, and they're like, I saw that fire in that guy's eyes, and I was like, I don't care if the rules have to be, if laws have to be changed for him, this guy is going to pull this off, and so when I see that fire, when I meet with entrepreneurs who are, whether or not they succeed is a different question, but that are actually aiming to like fundamentally change the world, that to me is what gets me up in the morning. The fact that it, is a monetary return is a nice thing, it's a nice perk.
One of the things that we like to ask in due diligence is I want to see the last 6 months of updates or prior fundraising decks, whatever. And I think a lot of people, they give me a hard time because they say startups can die because they're just so loyal to some pitch they gave investors previously, right? And what I tell people is that's true for companies that end up kind of wavering from that original vision. They can go and they can build, $100 million of enterprise value. But if you look at the largest, most successful companies in the world, right? If you look at an Elon Musk, he literally wrote out a life plan, right?
True.
And said, hey, I'm going to go do these 3 things. I'm going to solve these 3 problems. And he's done it almost identical. Right, for a 10-year.
Fan of Tesla, by the way?
Yeah. Look. I think that everyone forgets he's built the best electric car in the history of the world, right? And yeah,
by a huge margin, too.
Yeah. And so I get it, right? They're not producing cars as fast as they need to be. That all this stuff and everything. But like again, I'm not betting against that guy. Right.
But they have to be. The amount of capital they have to raise to execute this thing
is going to be insane, right? But like he also figured out how to launch rockets into space, right?
Well
so
said.
So I'm long Elon, but also I think if you look at an Uber, right, and you look at their first fundraising deck, like it could not be any more clear what their vision for the world was, and they went and they created it. And so I think that when you want to create these generation-defining or market-shaping companies, the founders, they understand their vision and they don't waver from it.
Very interesting.
Right?
Someone said to me recently, I don't remember who said it to me, but someone said to me recently, the investors that passed on Uber and Airbnb and all these other companies, Facebook, they didn't miss out on an opportunity. They missed out on a market, right? Uber isn't an opportunity. Uber created an entire market, like an entire universe, right? These guys, they didn't miss out on a little opportunity. It's unbelievable. Tell me about what you're doing here.
And most of these large, highly successful companies, if you go back and you look, the seed and Series A, rounds are not competitive, right? And I mean, people forget that Airbnb founders were literally selling cereal boxes, right? To keep capital.
I don't know if I love those stories or I hate those stories. I'm somewhere in between, right in the middle. I don't know. Tell me something. What are you doing in Israel?
Every year for Christmas, my brother and I, we pick somewhere.
His brother, by the way, is right over here.
In the world.
That's his brother. Yes. Yes.
We picked somewhere random in the world on 1 or 2 days' notice and go. Last year went to India. This year came to Israel. And,
when did you start this thing? And why?
We just did it because I think that we said, look, it's the one time of the year that we can go for a prolonged, period. It won't be so disruptive to the business, and it allows us to go to places that we probably otherwise wouldn't go, right? And so every time that we've gone somewhere, we just get to meet really cool people. There's awesome. Great companies, great investors everywhere, and
you know what?
We have some fun.
I told you I'm writing a book right now, and in the preface of the book, I say, literally, I write, I don't believe in the words I always wanted to. If you always wanted to do something, just freaking do it. Right? Forget bucket lists. I've made like a mindset shift in my life. I'm not joking. If I have things that are on my bucket list, and I had things on my bucket list, I'm just crossing them off one by one. Now, some of them take time, some of them take, like exercise. I never moved a muscle in my entire life. I never worked out. I'm like, dude, I'm not getting any younger. Either I'm going to do it, and I just start. I'm not saying I'm not like ripped like you yet, but I'm getting there. But the point is like, literally, just if you wanted to do something, just do it. And it's unbelievable. You guys just pick up and travel the world.
Well, here's the part that scares people is we usually book the flights a day or 2 in advance, get on the plane, no plans, no hotel, no anything. Amazing. And so we wait till we get into the country, and then we take it, at first it's hour by hour, and then eventually it comes, day by day.
The truth is, here in Israel, I don't think it's going to be a question of you finding things to do. It's going to be more of a question of choosing the best, because there's endless. Obviously, it's an unbelievable country. I just tried to give you a little bit of tip of the iceberg of what's going on here in terms of tech, but you're going to Jerusalem today. This by far the most beautiful city, in my opinion, in the world. And I do my traveling, but Jerusalem is something else. The air there is like really an amazing city. But listen, bottom line is, dude, enjoy this trip. Let me know while you're here how I can help. But more importantly, as we said, this is a kickoff meeting. We'll see how we're going to collaborate in the future. I think our goals are aligned in general is to help entrepreneurs. That's the bottom line. That's what keeps me up in the morning. That's what gets you up in the morning. So it's super cool to meet you, and looking forward to collaborating in the future.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Finished up all my meetings at the Intercontinental, met with the hotel. They're building a very, very super cool campaign, which I'll be telling you more about later. Meanwhile, I left my house this morning, it was pouring, and now look how beautiful it is in Tel Aviv. Pretty perfect right now. Heading to Mitos to meet Audio Burst, then Aryeh Mergi, and after that, Vertex Ventures. What a crazy day. So I think we're sitting here in one of the coolest places in Tel Aviv, hands down. Sarona Market. What's this place? That's Sarona Market. What's this place? Sarona what? Is there a name for this park?
Sarona Park.
Just Sarona.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sitting with this dude who, by the way, we should not have waited so long to catch up. You have to do this more often. I like hearing the way your brain works. Who are you?
Yanai Oron.
Yanai Oron, the one and only.
Yeah, I work at Vertex.
You don't work at Vertex. You are Vertex. Not there. You have other partners, but you're a partner, right?
Yeah, partner at Vertex.
Vertex Ventures. Tell me about that.
We're a 20-year-old fund managing a $150 million, give or take $10 million in each fund, investing in 20 or so startups.
Wait, 150 altogether?
No, each fund.
How many funds are there?
Just about to finish our fourth fund, going into fifth.
Serious gumballs. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
We invest in 20 or so startups in every fund, early stage. It could be seed, PowerPoint.
How really?
PowerPoint to be, yeah.
Really, PowerPoint? Like
Yep.
You actually invested in PowerPoint?
Sometimes even no PowerPoint. If the entrepreneur is strong enough with a nice vision, that takes as well.
That's pretty awesome. I don't think most people know that about Vertex.
You're probably right.
Should fix that, man. Okay, so give me the vision here in terms of the fund. What are your specialties or areas of interest?
So probably two major focus areas. One is everything enterprise, next-gen enterprise.
Okay.
So it's marketing, sales, infrastructure. Storage is not a bad word.
I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but I have a really good deck for you. I'm going to send it later on.
Okay, cool.
Okay, I'm not going to say it here, but I'll send you something later. Yeah.
Yeah. So we really believe in that because ultimately, with all the multinationals here, we just have so many good people coming out of enterprise with kind of knowing what the next gen of whatever it is, and that's kind of 50% of the investment we do.
So let me just, I want to say something. I want to cut you off. Forgive me. We're close enough. It's all good. So I often, on the vlog and in my writing and on social, I talk a lot about helping companies, right? And I talk a lot about my relationships with VCs. And I say, my relationships with VCs is not, I'm a finder and I take a cut when I send, deals to VCs. When I send deals to VCs, everybody on both ends, both the startup and the VC knows that I have no skin in the game. And if I'm sending them a deal, then they know that I've filtered it and it's somewhat relevant. It might not be something they're going to invest in at the end of the day, but they know it's not garbage. I think you're one of the extreme cases of that. How many decks have I sent you over the last 5 years?
5 years, probably 12.
That's it?
Yep.
12 decks?
12 good ones.
Good ones.
That's more than 100 bad ones.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, because I
it's all
definitely.
about the quality.
I hope you're not angry for saying this. I think you guys, and I mean this in a very positive way. It might come off the wrong way. I'm being careful what I'm saying here. I think you guys make a little bit less noise than some of the other VCs in this country, and I think you may have a little less awareness. And I say that again as a good thing because I think you're very focused on not only writing checks, but actually, like you said to me before, helping the companies post-check. Right. You spent, 60% of your time helping the company?
Yeah. Well, we were just discussing kind of what percentage of my time.
Right.
And I just told you that we had a very busy year and we, a lot of digestion, with new startups and making sure that it's kind of starting in the right way.
That comes at the expense of promoting yourself. In other words, and again, I said promoting yourself, that sounds like a bad thing. I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean, at the end of the day, your bread and butter is deal flow. And if entrepreneurs don't know about you, then that's a problem.
Right.
And so, for me, it's whenever I meet with a startup, any startup that's ever met with me, will tell you right away. I say to them, right away, I was like, Vertex, and that's where all those decks come from, because they're like, yeah, I would love you to send to Vertex. We don't know anyone there. I'm just gonna put this out there. That might be something you have to work on next year.
Right. So we're actually, this is something we talk about. What portion of our time and how much we want to be out there, and we're actually doing some stuff about it. And also some of our successes. But ultimately, if people like you know to send us the good stuff, that actually filters a lot of noise.
Right.
And we, I would say probably 90% of our investments are through contacts, and I would say also the VCs who are maybe more create more noise.
Yeah.
Probably the same. They also make. But regardless, I think that's an important thing.
That's true, and I have this debate with a lot of people, not only in the VC world, but a lot of people. It's like I'm an entrepreneur, I'm stealth, head down. I don't want. So I hear that, and due respect, and I'm not judging anyone. Having said that, there is something to be said for the fact that all of the top, and I mean all of the top tier VCs in the world are doing the podcasting thing, are doing the blogging thing, are doing whether it's Andreessen, whether it's Fred Wilson, whether they're all doing it at different levels, but they're all doing it. And I don't think Andreessen necessarily needs the quote unquote branding or the traffic, but at the end of the day, what differentiates, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, what differentiates the good money from the not so good money is that expertise, is that knowledge, is that thought leadership, or whatever other buzzword you want to use. And so I think it is actually important, both by the way for entrepreneurs and for VCs, to maybe kind of share that knowledge, because you have tons of experience, Vertex in general, and you specifically have tons of experience, tons of knowledge. Keeping it up here is a waste, man.
Absolutely, it's just
time.
No, it's really just putting the mind to it. And I know. Do you know I blog?
I did not know
you
that.
do not know that. So you see, so it's important. No. So I don't do it regularly. What I do is I take the easy route, which is to whenever I do an investment, I already have it very well in my mind. Right. So I put it into pen and a paper.
That's great.
And I try to also make it as much of a real story. Okay, what were the challenges?
I think I did see some of your blog posts. Why we invested in this company.
Right.
I've seen this. Yeah.
So it is the easiest, but I also find it's one of the more interesting ones because it's if I'm able to tell the real story and not just these are just amazing people and the minute I saw it, what happened? I met them a year ago. I invested now. What happened through that year?
Interesting. But you know what? You got to say, blogging takes a long time, but there are other things you can do. Like we just talked about a hack. You could you're in the car. You can do a podcast. You can do you can record something and transcribe it. There are different things you can do. But I'm just saying the important thing, and I think we agree on this, is that you should share your knowledge. By the way, both for you and for the ecosystem, because I think at the end of the day, it will help you too when more people hear about you, more deal flow comes, and it's a win-win. But again, it takes time.
Advice well taken.
I didn't mean to grill you on camera here, but anyway. So give me some of can you name some have I ever heard of your company? Some of the companies you invested in? Probably not, but let's try. Give me some names.
Okay, so some of the biggest ones. Yeah. We got Waze.
Heard of them.
Seed investor. We got CyberArk. A investor.
I did not know you were a seed investor in Waze.
Yeah.
So Magma also, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Did Magma, and we can edit this out if this is sensitive information, but did Magma just announce that they're not raising another fund?
I saw it on the newspaper.
Oh, so it is public information.
As far as the newspaper.
Which is super strange. To me, at least. I don't know, maybe you know the internals, but they seem to have some good returns. I don't get that, but maybe we'll leave that aside, sensitive information. But
actually, we really like Magma in the sense that we made a lot of deals together, and we really appreciate kind of how they use their companies and do business.
Total man crush on Yal. Love the guy. He brought me, by the way, I just want to tell you, he brought me to Bereshit Hotel to his CEO retreat to give a lecture about marketing to. This is the funniest story. I gotta tell you, going on off a tangent here, but so I am in Bereshit Hotel, probably the nicest and most expensive hotel in Israel, giving a lecture about branding and marketing to CEOs, like the CEO of Waze, who the hell am I? And who spoke right after me. So my whole talk was not everything in marketing, not everything in branding needs to be quantified. Some things are intangible, some things are emotion and sentiment. And who got up to speak right after me? Avishai, CEO of Wix. And he said, if you're not measuring, you're not marketing. I was like, oh my God, we totally just contradicted each other. That's how we became friends. But I love Avishai. Wix is, in my opinion, one of the most interesting companies in this country. But I did not know you were a seed investor in Waze. That's unbelievable.
So Waze, A investor in CyberArk.
Wow.
1.5 billion now on the Nasdaq. Early investor at SolarEdge.
Wow.
Amazing company, also 1.5 billion Nasdaq. So happy to be there and learn from these guys. And
what's your? I'm just curious. I don't know if you ever told me this. You probably didn't. I probably forgot. But before Vertex, what were you doing?
I was in the U.S. I originally an engineer. Worked for Intel for a couple of years. Then in the U.S. I had my MBA at Stern, and then worked at a company doing business development. Then managing one of the divisions.
Very cool. And so, how long have you been at Vertex now?
Vertex is 4 years now.
4 years. You having a good time?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, listen, I say it all the time, but you probably feel it more. I mean, I think it is really an incredible ecosystem. It really is. With all due respect to Startup Nation and all the buzz, whatever, at the end of the day, there are so many. And I sat this morning, when you watch this episode, you'll see the interview I did with a guy who led growth at Snap and Facebook. And this is the first time he's in Israel. He's here for vacation. And I was telling him about this ecosystem, and like, you know, as I'm saying these words to him, I'm thinking to myself, we're a little speck on the map. We're this tiny little insignificant, tiny little, in the most unstable region on earth, and we're building companies that aren't like, forget like leading and disrupting all those. These are like building markets. I mean, think about obviously the, you know, obvious example is, right, Mobileye. They're going to be building the entire, you know, autonomous strategy for Intel in Jerusalem. Like, it's crazy, you know. And like Waze is another example, but Wix owns like whatever percentage of the internet is on Wix. Like, these are massive companies, and there are more and more. And again, I'm not sorry to use a tech term, but like unicorns, more and more billion-dollar companies coming out of this country. You know, maybe we don't have a Google and a Facebook yet, but if we continue at this pace of more and more entrepreneurs are looking to build sustainable business, more and more VCs like yourself that are not looking to fund, you know, flip a company like maybe once used to be the case in Israel, we're going to be seeing a lot more of these big sustainable businesses come out of Israel.
Yeah, and I mean, the appetite is there, the money is here.
Yeah.
There's, you know, just a few new funds that, you know, have come into the scene last year, and you know, so the money is there.
Let me ask you a question. What would you say? I'm going to put you on the spot right now. What would you say is your elevator pitch? If I'm an entrepreneur and I'm raising funding in Israel right now, why should I take money from Vertex?
Talk to the other guys I invested in. Number one.
Love that answer.
Hopefully you hear.
Love that answer. That's a great answer.
I think secondary to that is, you know, just because of the experience we had, and some of our partners have seen, you know, the ups and downs of 2001 and 2007, and they kind of seen pretty much everything. But also we have some, you know, younger guys who, you know, can, you know, relate. So that's the main thing. Okay, so a lot of experience on the table. We're gonna work out for you very well. And Vertex has this one more thing that's working for, because it's Vertex is one of 5 network funds. There's 5 Vertex funds around the world, one in Israel, okay, actually the oldest one, but one in Singapore, one in China, and one in Silicon Valley. And this,
I did not know that.
So we have around 16 partners around the world that you can tap into.
Wow.
That doesn't mean they're gonna, you know, work for you every day of the week, but when we want, you know, to get some good feedback.
I'm just gonna put this out there. If your Singapore arm ever needs someone to come in there and inspire the guys, I know a guy who'd be happy to go visit Singapore. Okay. It's on my bucket list.
I think I know this guy. You know our joke. We have a very good relationship with Singapore, and we say Singapore and Israel are lucky to have the sea around them. You know why? Because that's the only way we can have our full name spelled on the map. So
very nice. Well, listen, I mean, you guys are doing, but another thing I should say, you know, again, it's like these phrases, these things that we say, like when too many people say it, like takes the sting out, because everyone's saying
what
it.
Is it?
But in your case,
we'll take the sting out.
You like literally spend, like you said, 60% of your time. Literally, this isn't like abstract bullcrap. This is like you're spending 60% of your time helping your companies. Yeah. So like when people say I provide value post check, everyone says that. And by the way, I'm not saying that no one else does that, but you personally, 60% of your time is spent helping your companies.
I don't want to do it. It's only if I have to. Ultimately, we all want to, you know, invest in people that don't need our help.
Right.
Okay. But so I think it's really different that we're just talking about it. You know, some really entrepreneurs are just amazing, you know, technology people, and also will turn out to be amazing business folks, but it might be their first time. Okay. Right. So connecting them with the right people. Hopefully, I can do whatever I do, just like a good CEO, is to make myself redundant. Okay. Right. So I told you, 60% is now because we made a lot of new investments this year. Right. Hopefully, that's not the case next year.
Right. Well, I personally, I think it's pretty amazing to hear that you're spending so much time with your companies. In other news, we are at 13 minutes on this interview. My editor is going to murder me. He told me never, ever reach 10 minutes ever again. We're at 13 minutes. So we're going to end this interview. Thank you for that. And yeah, man, good luck. And anything I can do to help you, let me know. You know that, though. I don't even have to say it. Thanks. Made it home. What a day. What a day. See you tomorrow.